Okay, whenever you're ready.
I want to talk about my granddad Brashear, how he made his living, and he was located there in Sunset, and he leased some property by the railroad track and built him a set of pens, cattle pens. And what he'd do would leave Sunset and go out through the country, maybe 10 or 15 miles, buying cattle, and then he'd throw them out in the road and drive them to Sunset and put them on the train and send them to Fort Worth. And he had considerable amount of money at the beginning of the Depression, but right before the Depression he bought a bunch of yearlings and yearling steers, and my dad said they grazed them for 2 years, and when they sold them, they just got enough money to pay the leases they'd been running them on. So he lost the whole amount of the steers, and if he'd have had that money during the Depression, why, I guess he'd been a rich man. But otherwise he lost it all. But he was still trading and doing real well when he passed away. Okay.
How many? Sorry.
Don't forget we're supposed to have a pause a little bit before we ask the next question. Was something wrong?
Hold on.
I'll get out.
Yeah. Be $100,000. I didn't put all that in there.
I should have. But back 100,000 in Depression days, they just
That's.
big time money now. Or
Could you not hear him?
Yeah, it fell. Darn it.
Does he need to say it again?
Yeah, can you tell that story again, Papa? This
Yeah.
microphone fell down. I was trying to figure out what happened.
what do you pay?
But I get,
How many he had?
okay.
It'll make it interesting.
All right.
So that's what people want to know.
Yeah.
Why don't you bring a chair in? But you gotta be quiet.
Gotta have your notepad.
Yeah, we only give them they can't speak, we can only give them a
You
notepad.
might mention, just instead of just saying Granddad Brashear, mention that it was Lewis.
All right.
Okay.
Everyone's a critic.
After you say Lewis, then you say Granddad.
You got that, Papa? Everybody's telling you what to do.
Got all the directors.
I just gotta wait for the girls and see when they're there.
Okay. Are y'all staying in there or coming in here? Okay.
Whoop.
Test for me?
Test.
Oh, we're golden now. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Okay.
I want to talk about my granddad Brashear, Louis Brashear, and he bought, leased some land there in Sunset on the railroad track, built him a set of cattle pens, and he'd go a horseback out through the country buying cattle from these different people, and then throw them in the road and drive them all the way to Sunset. Probably approximately 10 or 15 miles he'd go, and then he'd ship them to Fort Worth. And the story goes that he bought 1,000 yearling right before the Depression, give $100 a head, which would have been $100,000. And my dad said they grazed them for 2 years, and when they sold them, they just had enough money to pay the grass lease, so he lost the whole 100,000. But he continued on trading and doing good, and he was in good shape when he passed away. Okay.
Someone had submitted that Granny's father had burned up a plow point when Dad asked him.
Yeah, he went over there to ask Grandpa Williams to marry my mother, and he was sharpening a plow point, and he had one of those big grindstones with pedals on it. And Daddy said he didn't think he's ever going to answer him. Said he thought he was going to burn that plow point up before he ever answered him. And I think Daddy said the reason he was hating to give his consent was he's going to lose a good worker because she done all the hoeing and all that for the crops. End of story.
There's this picture of you and your basketball team.
That was at Arlington State University, and my coach Tinker and my teammates. And while there, we had a good run, and it was won 2 conference championships. And my second year there, I was all conference and all regional and MVP of the team. And my high school principal got me the scholarship there, and also on to Rice. And he was a very good educator and a good man, and he knew a lot of people and helped a lot of kids. His name was Paul Tolliver.
Isn't there a story about how SMU didn't want you and one of the teammates, and then you went to the other school and beat them?
Yeah, TCU. They didn't want us, and we wound up beating them. But we had a hard time with SMU.
How did you get started playing basketball?
Well, when I moved to town, why I didn't play in the 8th grade, and I started playing as a freshman. And I got in about 30 seconds before the end of the game my freshman year, and then they took us to Kansas City to watch the NCAA playoffs on train. And I guess it enthused me because I began to work at home on outdoor gold, and I made the junior high team the next year. And as a junior, we went to the regional finals before we got beat, and I was kind of a 6th man. Then as a senior, I was a starter, and we won the state championship. And then from there, I went to Arlington and on to Rice.
So you want to talk a little bit about when you were at Rice?
Well, the first year there, it was a very successful year. We made a swing back east and stopped at Tulane in New Orleans and beat them, and went to New York and beat St. John's at Madison Square Garden. Come back down to Knoxville, Tennessee, and beat the University of Tennessee. Then went to Nashville and beat Vanderbilt. Then we came back to Houston and won the preseason Southwest Conference tournament. And we were 10-0 and ranked 10th in the nation at that time. Then we hit a couple of bumps. SMU beat us up there, and Stephen F. Austin beat us at their place. But we came back and tied the University of Texas for the championship and beat them in 2 straight games in the playoffs. The last game, we won with the last second tip in, and we got to play in the Sweet 16 and wound up 3rd place. Got beat first game by Oklahoma State, and then we beat Colorado for 3rd place, and we wound up 15th in the nation in the polls.
What do you think made you such a dynamic team?
Well, I think we all got along good together, and we played together good, and which makes for a good chance that you're going to win a lot of games. We wound up winning 23 and lost 5. My senior year, I was down there at I was captain of the team, and we wound up in third place. We lost our two top scorers, and it kind of set us back, but we represented Rice pretty good.
Is that the same team that you ended up winning the championship with later, or?
No, the first year at Rice was 53 and 54. That's when we won the championship. We had two guys that both of them was all Southwest Conference, and they set the one of them set a scoring record that stayed, and he's still ranked up in Rice's top records. And the only record I wound up with was my senior year. I had the highest percentage on free throws, and I had to go an extra year because I had lost 30 hours when I transferred. And my coach got me a coaching job over at Kincaid there in Houston. And I was coaching the B team, and they had the B team state championship. And we beat Oklahoma Classen, I believe was the name of it, at St. Mark's in Dallas for the championship. Then the A team won the state championship. And then we came to Bowie, and I coached 3 years at Bowie. And we, first year I was junior high coach and assistant basketball, and we got to the state meet, but wound up in fourth place. And the next 2 years I was head coach. We got the regional first year and got beat in the regionals. And the next year we won the regional and went to the state playoffs and finished as a runner-up. Got beat in the finals. And then I went in the cattle business with working for my dad, welding.
Did you like want to move back to Bowie to?
Yes. Yes, I wanted to come back. That's home.
Tell us about the person in these pictures.
Well, that is pictures of my future wife at a younger age, and in 1954 I came home for the summer, and we met at a rodeo dance out here at Bowie, and I stayed her at another rodeo dance, and got to dating, and we only dated 3 months and got married, and been married for 59 years, and a lot of good memories, a lot of good times. And we had 3 children, Bobby, Jan, and Lance, and had 6 grandchildren, and now we got about, I don't know, 8 great-grandchildren. So our family has multiplied. Yeah. I liked the long hair she had.
Show me a picture of the back of that. Tell us what's happening. What are y'all doing here?
Well, we're at a rodeo, and we got engaged. I don't know if that's at Denton. I don't believe it was, because we went with somebody at Denton. We was a horseback, and I asked her to marry me, and she agreed. And
At the rodeo?
at the rodeo, yeah, we was fixed to ride in the grand entry, and so that's where we got engaged. And we after we got married, we went to Houston. Not much honeymoon. Went to Houston. My coach got Vernon May a job, found us an apartment to rent, and the apartment was $50. she was making $125 a month, and I was getting $50 from the school. So we lived on $175. And our weekend was go downtown and go to the show and eat at this Coney Island place. And to entertain ourselves on the weekends, we'd go over to these open houses in the River Oaks and go through them and wish.
So you were down there for 4 years?
3 years.
3 years, and then you guys came here
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
You had mentioned a story about that you and your friends would go out on a bridge with the record player and dance. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, when I was in high school, I had this little portable record player, and we'd go to different people's houses and dance, and we did a lot of dancing back then, square dancing and round dancing, and that was a big part of our life, I guess. We didn't have nothing else to do. Of course, we had 3 shows at one time here in Bowie, and the drive-in, and that's a lot more than they got now.
It's true. Is that the same car that you?
Yeah, that's the one we had when we got married, 54 Pontiac. They kind of painted it up, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. So you bought the same car? Can you tell us
Yeah,
about
I still
the
got,
cars you bought?
we went to Illinois, Vernon and I, and bought same model cars, different color, but the same model as that. And I also have a 28 Model A, which I had one of those when I was in high school, and recently bought a 39 Chevrolet that's been made into a street rod. But I don't know, I just like the idea of having the 54 in the Model A.
So let's get back to the cattle business. We've always just been really amazed at how the operation would go across so many states. Like, how did it go from local to next thing you know, you're flying all these different places?
Well, the first place, they bought the place in Louisiana, Coachella, Louisiana, with the Donald brothers, and
What kind of place? Like,
well, it was a grass place right on Red River down there. And the amazing thing to me when I first went down there was the fact that Red River was blue water, and it's real red up here, and cotton was about waist high, and ours is about knee high up here. And it was a good place, and they kept it, 4 or 5 years before they resold it. Also leased some places up around Shreveport, Minden, Louisiana. And these Donald brothers had a bunch of places around here, and Daddy and Weldon took care of the cattle on it, and they furnished the grass and all, and they split the profits, and it just developed there. We got to taking yearlings up into Oklahoma and put on wheat and fatten them and then sell them off in the spring. And we had several places leased around here that they run mother cows on. Like I stated before, at one time we ran about 2,000 mother cows, sold the calves off of them. We'd creep feed shell corn, calves get real fat, and we won a lot of shows, Angus shows at the stockyards in Fort Worth with pens of black calves, and I don't know, we just developed when eventually they sold off the home place, and Donald's took their land back, and we wound up here in Bowie and buying and selling cattle. And my uncle did most of the going at first. He spent time in Arizona, New Mexico, and Oklahoma, and Louisiana and East Texas. And down on the Mexican border, they brought a lot of yearlings across the river down there and furnished rawhide some yearlings one time, the picture show. And eventually my uncle got to sending me to some of these places, and we bought cattle in Hammond, Louisiana, right north of New Orleans there. And I went up in Colorado and brought a big bunch, and New Mexico and Oklahoma and Florida and Tennessee, and it just we hear about these cattle and we go look and purchase them, and then we ship them in here and resell them. And we continue to take cattle to the wheat fields in Oklahoma. And I don't know, my dad kind of told a little story about my age, and I got my commercial license when I was 14, and I went to driving cattle trucks and hauling cattle from to here to Fort Worth, and then go to East Texas, Louisiana, and bring cattle up here. And I tell you, that truck driving's a hard go, especially when you can't stop and rest. You don't want the cattle to stand on the truck no longer than they have to. And you get sleepy, and when you get sleepy and driving, that's no good. Yeah, the good Lord took care of me on that truck driving, because I got sleepy plenty of times. We had to go into Oklahoma. I was working calves all day long, and about 6 o'clock I'd go take a shower and put on clean clothes and load the cattle and go. It'd take me till about 6 o'clock the next morning to get up there and get back. And I'd grab about 2 hours sleep, and I'd done that 3 days in a row. And I finally went to bed and slept for 2 days, and sometimes you'd wake up and you wouldn't remember going by a certain place that you knew was there. And just miraculous that I come through that. Kind of like some of the horse spills I had. The first thing that happened to me, I was chasing a baby calf to doctor him for the screw worms, and I stepped in a hole, my knee went backwards, and I wore a cast from the knee down for 30 days. And then the horse stepped in a hole and fell and broke my wrist. Just barely got it well, and riding a big stout horse, we was sorting cattle in a trap. He swelled up and busted the girt. I broke it in 3 places that time. And the other time, it was unbelievable. I was riding a horse, and I jumped a little old brush pile that wasn't a foot high, I don't believe, and he just fell with me. And I looked around, and they'd sprouted some second growth oak, and they stobs sticking up, and there was just a place big enough for me to land and not hit them. And that was kind of a miracle, I think. And a lot of other spills.
So whenever Weldon started having you go on all of the trips, did he give you any advice on how to deal with the people? I
would call back and describe the cattle to him, and we'd kind of agree on a price we'd want to give, and then I'd bid the people on the cattle. And it worked out pretty good. The biggest bunch I ever bought was up in Colorado, at Eagle, Colorado. Bought 750 head of cows. And Vernon May and I went up there and received them. and they were as good a cows as we ever had around. And of course, Weldon bought a lot of cattle off stockyards at Fort Worth, and when it was bigger. It used to be from 28th Street all the way to Exchange down there. And I've been down there with a truckload. It'd take 3 or 4 hours before you could get up the chute to unload them. There'd be so many cattle down there. And 10 or 15,000 head in there at one time. And but like I say, we had Weldon and Dad's cousin worked there on the yards, and we dealt through him. And it was enjoyable. I wrote a theme once, and when I was in Arlington State University, and in this theme, this teacher wanted us to outline what we wanted to do, and I wrote it out. I made a B+ on it. That was pretty good for me. And the only thing where I messed up is all my punctuation. But I explained in there that I either wanted to work with livestock or coach or a combination of both. So I don't guess I got any gripe coming, because that's just what happened.
What was it like working with Weldon and Marvin?
Well, you went at a fast pace. You had to hurry up and get there, and hurry up and get through, and hurry up and get back, you know. It was something it'd take us, 20, 30 days to work all the calves that we had to work, and we had dipping vats where we'd dip them for flies and ticks and all that, and it was a lot of long days. Sometimes the work wasn't so hard, but a lot of long hours.
How would you get to all the different places that you were talking about?
Well, at first we used bobtail trucks to haul our horses in, and we'd back the trucks off in a ditch, and they'd jump in the bobtail truck, and eventually out of where our pens were, they built a dock where they could walk on. But one of the most amazing things I had as far as moving, me and another boy was over around St. Joe, and we had some yearlings out, and we got them together, but we didn't have room but for one horse in there with the yearlings. So we had a flatbed pickup with wooden floor. So I jackknifed the pickup, and I jumped this blue horse I had up in there and tied him to the headache rack without any sideboards or anything, and come home. And eventually we got trailers and hauled our horses in trailers. And we had to build portable pens to take up to Oklahoma, because the farmers up there didn't have any facilities to load cattle. And one time I had some cattle up there, and took a horse up there, and he's been a good horse, and I got on him, and the first thing, I walked him around. First thing he done is reared up and fell over backwards with me, and the saddle horn kind of scraped my back, but I had a bunch of sick calves. He never did, I got on him, doctored the calves, and everything's all right after that. And
But when you were going state to state, you guys had a plane, right? Or y'all had a plane?
well, yes, and eventually got a plane, and when he was going out in Arizona and down on the border, and other places out in West Texas, and places that we had cattle, and made a lot of difference. Also, this guy that partnered with on a plane was a World War II veteran that flew the Burma hump over there in India. And he also, they had 2 spray planes where they sprayed weeds and cotton and stuff like that. And it was a fast way to get there.
How long did y'all use those?
Oh, 3 or 4 years. And
There was one of the notes said something about a helicopter.
yeah, I had some cattle up at Crowell, and we was having trouble gathering them, and I got a helicopter, and this one boy was pretty good hand and didn't have no trouble, but he sent another boy up there, and we started off, when he took off, he just barely cleared a fence and had to set it down, and we got over there chasing the cows, and we turned them, and I heard him say, uh-oh, and the motor quit, and we just happened to be a vacant spot there, and we hit the ground. It was kind of rough, and took off again, and here we went.
Wow.
So, we were told that a lot of times you'd have to get up in the middle of the night to unload cows, and sometimes there would be like 10 trailers per week coming, maybe like 50 or 100 cows per trailer.
Well-
We're just trying to know how many cattle per year.
Oh, no telling how many cows they bought and sold, and yearlings. Usually the yearlings was 1,500 to 2,000, and I kind of took over those duties of unloading those trucks in the middle of the night after my daddy got sick, and matter of fact, after he got sick, I picked up a lot of extra duties, and to me, I felt like I added years to his life because of it. And but there'd be about 100 head of cattle on one of them trucks, and we had different places we'd unload them, different pens, and it was exciting business.
What's the stockyard story about Weldon and the meat packers, and he like
Bought all of the cows in
in the
the
sale?
one day.
Oh, well, he's over Brownwood at the cattle auction, and we had some cattle over there, and they didn't sell too good, and he was drinking a little, so he just went to buying everything that come in there, and it just seemed like nobody else would bid against him, and when we got them home, the cattle were cheap, and we made money on them. So I guess that's one way to do it.
So what was he like? We'd never met him before.
Well, he was an excellent businessman. He knew cattle, and had a lot of connections, and his only downfall was his drinking, and he could get things done, find money when you need it, and the only thing I wish they hadn't ever had to do was sell the home place, but they did, and moved on, and he was a gambler. He liked to gamble and play poker, and he'd go to St. Joe and other places around playing poker. But when they first started out, he was just like, except he went and bought and all that, but he could ride and work cattle and ride along with us. And he knew how to do it. He just didn't like to sometimes. And
He had all the animals, right?
yeah.
He had like an exotic zoo.
Yeah, Daddy bought them, but they put them up to his house, and well, he kind of had a longhorn bull and a llama, and they had a mule, and had a ostrich, and they messed around and got 2 mountain lion cubs and some monkeys. The monkeys got out and went down the neighbor and tore his house up. Cost them a lot of insurance, I guess, paid for it. And my daddy and mother, they'd had them a covered wagon and 2 Appaloosa mules that they took to the stock show parade every year, and they'd lead this mule and this llama and this bull behind the wagon, and something they enjoyed doing. And at one time they had a buggy that they rode in local parades around here, and
So do they own other businesses? Because we've heard like a motel and.
yeah, they owned a motel out there going out of town, that little motel on the right. They had a cafeteria, a cafe called Jack Rabbit Inn that sat out there on the highway. And my cousin run it for a while, Sandy. And when the highway come through, they had to sell it. They took it, and I don't know. They had the Ford agency here at one time, and that's about all I can think of right off.
Is this one of the wagons you?
Yes, yes.
Who's
That's
that in the picture with him?
Huh?
Do we know who that is in the picture with him?
Oh, that's the guy at Wichita Falls, newspaper man up there. I can't remember his name now. But anyway, he's riding with him there. That's probably a local parade there here in Bowie, I think.
So we've heard stories about Second Monday days. What kind of memories do you have, and how was that originally? Dad getting involved with it.
Well, I guess the biggest thing that got him involved that these Donald brothers owned the corner up there, and and Dad built a set of lots on it, and they traded cattle out of that lots. And they might have those lots full, and the second Monday come around and sell everything they had out of those lots. And they acquired a big building, an old cotton shed, and so they went to renting stalls and all that kind of stuff for people to set up and trade out of. And I guess that's the way he got involved. And probably the trade today now, of course, is a lot bigger and brings in a lot of money for the city. And Daddy and another guy went to the mayor and the city council, and they was wanting to do away with it completely, and they argued with them and got them to keep it and move it out to where it is now. And I've been told it's probably more money now than ever, but at one time Daddy had a friend that took in the money and said over a year's time the city took in over $100,000 with Second Monday. So he fought for it.
So they had like fiddle contests there, you said?
Yeah, he had in this cotton gin, he had a stage deal on wheels. Once a month they'd have a fiddling and singing deal there, and we'd set up bales of hay for people to sit on, and they'd get a big crowd, 50, 75 people in there watching it, and he really enjoyed that. Him and J.W. Cure, the owner of the Dairy Queen, fed all of, I forgot how many they fed now. Seemed like 300 or 400 people there that was over a certain age, senior citizens at a certain age, one second Monday.
Who all's in this picture?
Well, that's Bobby and myself and Werner May, Jack Keck, and his wife Dorothy, and their kids Greg and Brenda and Gwenda, and I believe that's Greg's wife. I don't remember. They were real good friends of ours, and I coached with Jack, and we had some horses together, and he was a real good coach and a good man, good people.
Yeah, we go to Ruidoso. Tell us about Ruidoso.
Yeah, we used to travel to Rio Dosa with them and watch the horse races, and we'd drive all night to get out there, and drove all night one night, and then went to Carlsbad Cavern, and then on to Rio Dosa. We had a lot of good times there, and a lot of good horse races. Jack's uncle won the All-American race 3 out of the first 5 years they held it. Big quarter horse race. And he was an outstanding trainer.
How long did y'all have all the racehorses and stuff?
Oh, me and Jack didn't have them in a couple of years. I tried to have a racehorse another time or two, but never any good.
So tell us the story. We heard a story about Weldon taking these guys from New York to buy cows, and then they didn't like them and they took them somewhere else.
No, that was different. That was here locally. The guy, these two guys were salesmen for us, and they brought these guys down and went out on the Oklahoma highway and showed them these cows. They didn't buy them. So they waited about a week, and then instead of coming to Bowie, they turned from Henrietta and went towards Nocona and turned south at Ringo and came down 81 and showed them the same cattle, and they bought them. And the New York deal, there was a bunch of people up there that was wanting to send some cattle to Greece, and they came down, and one of these, they was rabbis or something, and one of them brought word from a guy that I'd played against at St. John telling me hello, and it was interesting. And me and Martin May went all the way to Columbia, Tennessee to check on these Holsteins, and but nothing ever developed out of it. And we got to take in the Grand Ole Opry out of it.
What was that like?
Hell, that was interesting. It was good.
Anyone big?
Huh?
Get to see anyone big?
Oh, I don't remember. It was all them, old Roy Acuff and all that bunch was there, you know.
What I think it was Bobby talked about buying on the float.
Oh, that
What
Weldon and a guy in East Texas, they'd float these drafts back and forth, and Weldon would buy some cattle. He might not have any money, and he'd draw a draft on this guy, and it'd take it 3 days for that draft to clear down there. Well, then if that guy got to needing some money, well, he'd do the same thing back here on Weldon. So eventually the banks cut all that out.
I bet.
What's the story about buying the 5 Cadillacs?
Well, he's fixing to have to pay a bunch of income tax. So he bought 5 company Cadillacs to keep from doing it. And me and Vernon May got one, Sandy got one, Mother and Daddy got one, Mildred got one, and Weldon got one. And so he bought 5 of them at one time.
Y'all are still buying them.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that a lot of Weldon would buy and sell a lot at the stockyards. Are there any like stories about the goings on at the stockyards?
Oh, not really. Of course, they had a lot of buyers down there, and Weldon bought a lot of yearlings through there that we set the wheat. But then sometimes some cows would come through there that he thought he could resell, and he'd buy them and bring them here at Bowie and maybe sort them or something. And he just bought all over the state, you know. We bought a bunch out north of Amarillo one time, and wound up taking them down the other side of Weatherford. And it just, that way.
So is that where he made all the connections, is meeting people in Fort Worth at the stockyards?
Yeah, there in East Texas.
What was happening in East Texas?
Well, our two great uncles had the sale barn there that Cothridge and Henderson, and he made connections through them. People, you go buy cattle at a sale, and other people's gonna hit you up and want to know. And he had 2 or 3 guys down there that bought cattle from, and one over at Buffalo and one at Jacksonville, and you just, in the cattle business, when you buy, well, you make connections.
Right. How was all the communication done?
Oh, by telephone.
Mm-hmm.
And not like now. You know, you had to wait till they got home.
Yeah.
What about the white elephant? We've heard mention of the white elephant and Hell's Half Acre down in the stockyard area. Is that a bar down there, or?
Yeah, there's a white elephant bar down there, and but I don't know. You'd go in there and eat just about like we went in today and dance and all that. I never have been there, but.
We heard Weldon had been there.
Oh, I'm sure he has. Well, his wife shot him in the foot down there once.
Oh, really?
How'd that shake down?
Well, he's where he wasn't supposed to be.
Which one?
Mildred.
So she showed up and found him there?
Yeah.
That's a great one. So let's see. That's a question here. What memories do you have of Montag Cattle Company and the Kramers? And can you explain what all that is? 'Cause we don't
Okay. All right. It started. Mr. Kramer was Weldon and Daddy learned of him through the Donald brothers. Mr. Kramer was their accountant, and so he was. Daddy and Weldon's used the guy here, and they went up there and went to using Mr. Kramer, and for several years there, and then all of a sudden, June and Paul Donald got crossways, the brothers, and June decided he wanted to sell out. So he asked Mr. Kramer and if he'd be interested in buying, and Mr. Kramer got a hold of Weldon, and Weldon said yeah, and they bought him out and formed Montag Cattle Company. And
When was that?
oh, that was in the 60s sometime, probably, maybe late 60s. And we had a hard time getting Mr. Paul to divide everything up. And so we took a bunch of cattle down there and just turned them in with his. And he was having to feed our cattle. So he finally decided to divide the land, and of course the minerals stayed where they were. And that's where Dad and Weldon got all their minerals. And they give Mr. June $200,000 for his interest. And after they got the land divided and all that and sold the land off, they had it paid off in 8 months and wound up with all those minerals. So it worked. They bought cattle together, the Kramers and Weldon, one of the Kramer boys, a lawyer, they went down and they were the ones on the Rio Grande down there between Mexico and was bringing those cattle across the river and selling them.
Wonder what made them start to go to work with down by Mexico.
They just, somebody heard of something, you know, and run on to somebody who wanted some of them cattle and got down there. And one thing that Weldon had the buying power to borrow that $200,000, and so that's the way they got started. And Weldon and Daddy seen that something was fixing to happen, and they got Mr. Kramer to divide all that up before Mr. Kramer died or anything, and so they divided it all up and, you know, dissolved the partnership.
So was that partnership happening at the same time or after the Donald partnership?
After the Donalds.
Okay. Tell us about this photo.
That's in the place at Louisiana at Coshada. There's Weldon and Daddy and Charlie Miller and Bill Hudson, Bill Hudson's boy, Mr. Paul Donald, and a guy named Mac Dole. And Weldon and them bought a bunch of Appaloosa horses, brought them in here to Montague County, first Appaloosas that was in here. And they was all down there working cattle, and they just snapped that picture. And we had these Appaloosas around here for a while.
Okay. So Dad had told me one time that you guys went, I think the whole family went to Florida once to some like big house by the water.
Yeah, they got involved with some guys that called their company Silver Sea, and we went down there, and he had a big house, and we went. I don't know if we stayed home. Remember, we spent the night there, or we stayed in the hotel, and they showed us around down there, and they had some cattle down there, and they came out here, and basically he had a good idea that was based on a company up in Missouri that had done the same thing. But they'd buy cattle off of us, and until they paid them off, we'd maintain them, and they'd pay us a maintenance fee on them. And what they actually was doing, they'd give us a price for them, and they'd sell them to these doctors and lawyers in Dallas for twice as much as they give for them. And they'd actually clear the cow out, but they'd wait a while to pay us. And in the meantime, the doctors was keep paying on their cows, see? And but it finally blew up this fake.
Wait, did we start? Okay. Go.
That's a picture of my mother on my horse, Lady, and she's dressed for a parade. They fixed to ride in a parade somewhere.
Did she do that a lot?
Yes,
They liked riding in parades.
they liked riding in a parade. We call it the Bowie Roping Club, and we had about 40 to 50 members in it. And We made all the parades around here locally in Wichita and Vernon, and it was a good organization.
Is it
Bunch
social,
of-
mostly social, or
Well, it's just family orientated, and all the little kids all had a little horse and all that.
this looks like it might have been this something similar?
Yeah, that's well, that's the old lady there. I don't know who that is. That looked like Dick Allen. That might have been me. I don't know.
Looks like it's in Bowie.
Yeah.
This is
We were at the stock show, going to the rodeo.
when do you think that was about?
Well, I don't know. Bobby looked like he's 4 or 5 years old. It's probably after 59, probably in the early 60s.
Y'all enjoyed going to the stockyards a lot?
Yeah, stock show.
The
Yeah,
stock show, yeah.
Fort Worth stock show.
So we wanted to show you this picture and just tell us a little bit about just having Kevin as a son-in-law and him kind of being an only son like you. And I think I know he's helped out a lot over the years, and just thought.
Well, I don't think I could have done better any way in the world. I think decision, and he's been very helpful and respectful, and I appreciate him more every day.
Wasn't there, when they got engaged, didn't he weren't y'all in bed or something and he came in?
Yeah.
What's that story?
Well, me and Verna Mae was already in bed, and they came in our bedroom and asked us. We said, okay. I don't remember if we asked them any kind of question or not. But anyway, it worked out real good.
Is there anything about being a parent what have you learned most about being a parent? Or what's your takeaway?
Got to have a lot of patience and understanding. I remember one thing on your daddy, Kevin. We was taking up some pipe, and the only time he ever got upset was I had the diamond ring on, and I was fussed at him, I guess, or something. And he said, "Well, Diamond Jim, I'm doing all I do," or something. Review. And he kind of got on me that time.
There's a picture of you with
Well, that's at another rodeo, and we was dressed for parade. We'll usually put on some different shirts than those. We had some shirts, maroon kind of red shirts that matched their chaps, and I don't know. We used to have a whole case down there at the house of trophies, but I think I messed around and gave most of those to Dick Allen and the Riding Club.
What about this one? It looks like you might be on vacation or something.
I'm going to say that was at Easter, and we went with Mr. Tolliver and the Spanish Club to Monterey, New Mexico. And before we got through, Verna Mae had Montezuma Revenge, and I did too.
How long were you gone for?
Oh, it was over Easter holidays. I don't remember if we stayed in San Antonio and then went on down, or I know we stayed coming back because that's when Verna Mae got sick. And but it was along down. While we was down there, we rode these donkeys up this pretty good little creek there, and had a cafe up in the side of the mountain, and we ate up there. Oh, we're getting ready to go to Kansas City, to see the NCAA playoffs, and we're catching a train here at Bowie. And
Is that the story you already told?
yeah.
Earlier about the playoff. What about that kid?
I can't got my glasses, and I wouldn't be for sure who that is.
Was it Jennifer?
Maybe. Is it you?
I
Huh?
think it is. I don't know. Is it that motel?
Or
I think it's Granny and Dad.
May?
We'll ask Maggie.
The ones at the end.
Oh, here.
That was a cowboy sweetheart right there. Boy, I got the red hat on.
That's Jan.
And,
Jan.
oh, it is. Well, it looks like May. My glasses. I'll need them glasses, don't I? Well, Jan, I don't remember her hair being that dark. Boy, she's dressed up, isn't she? That must have been when she ran for queen. Had long hair. Yeah. Oh, that was when I was about a senior, I think, or off to college. My wife says I was pretty ugly. I thought I was a pretty good looking old boy then.
Who's in that picture with you?
It looked like Bobby. And I can't see who that guy is.
Oh, that's the one you want to show.
That's Jan and Lance.
Yeah.
That's Bobby probably in it.
This is Lance.
Looks like it's in the back of a pickup truck, the kids.
Yeah. Looked like Jan was dancing or something. Lance and Bobby.
Where were you going in this one? You look all dressed up. That's one of my favorite pictures.
Boy, that is a pretty good picture, ain't it?
Mimi said she still got that dress.
I don't remember.
Well, we bought that dress in Houston, or you bought it for me.
I guess we was going somewhere down there, but I didn't wear a cowboy hat in Houston very much. Somewhere here. Party or something. We look pretty sharp.
Talk a little bit about like the Sunday lunch and like how that's been.
Well, my mother, I don't know, yeah, I guess that's at her house. Carried on the tradition that Grandma Williams did. We all gathered at her house on Sunday. It's continued on with my wife, May, where we gathered at our house. So it's just tradition.
What was Mimi told us once about how they were courting you to run for Congress.
Yeah, they hit me up one time, but I'm not a. Well, some guy down there out of Fort Worth, I don't remember what his name was, but they was hit me up to see if I would, but I'm not a good enough speaker to be running for office.
So there's some story about driving cows 5 miles in the snowstorm in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, we was up there at Sealing, Oklahoma, and it was sleeting and freezing, and we like froze to death time we got them cows down the road and to where we could load them. And the biggest thing was me and another fellow pulled our boots off, went in this house and ate with these people. And we didn't have sense enough to put the boots on the inside of the house. And when we come back, it was cold, and he had to get off and walk, keep his feet warm. Cold. Me and Bobby went up there one time. They called, and I had 400 calves in this wheat field. And it was snowing. Took us 6 hours to get to Vernon from here. And when we got there, there was 4 calves left in the pasture. And we went to gathering them. Got about half of them gathered before night caught us. And the next day, what was odd, the cattle remembered where they drifted so far that we just beat them coming up the road. And we found them all but 3. 3 got in a bar ditch and smothered to death. Cattle business is odd. Ups and downs.
Unpredictable, it seems.
Yeah.
Picture Granny and Dad when they were older.
Yeah. No telling where that's at. Red dress.
Is that Eileen's?
I don't know.
Well, tell us a little bit about the Griffin. How did
Well,
me and
me and Varmay bought the Griffin, and 120 acres. Then we bought across the creek 130 acres. Then we bought another 160 acres. And then we bought another place up there, about 100 acres we had. We had over 500 acres together there, and it was doing pretty good, but it got the tight and messed around and had to sell it. And Granny and Dad fixed them up a weekend house out there, and they'd go and stay on the weekend there at the house is where she could go fishing. And they had a big time with that. And but it was a good place, good farm, and but economic situations get you sometimes.
I remember they had peacocks and
Yeah.
ducks and chickens and
Guineas and all of that. And she loved to fish. And
was she always fishing?
oh yeah, she liked that fishing. She'd put out turtle traps to catch the turtles so they wouldn't eat the fish, and catch them old big round turtles, hit them with a hammer.
I remember there was that sort of glass encasement in their house with all those rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
There was like a jar with a big turtle foot in it.
Yeah, and I've got some stones that came out of my great granddad's house there in Scottsboro, Alabama. They fell off the chimney there. Daddy put them in his suitcase and brought them back, and they're there in that glass deal. And we went down there, and me and Daddy, and then Vernon and Bobby and I went back. And the old house was standing there 20 by 20 with a chimney at each end, dog trot through the middle. And the chimney was still standing where my granddad, Brashear Lewis, was born. And the old sheep shed was still standing. And pretty interesting.
what was the Domino Hall for, and why?
That was just, we had a set of pens there that we had cattle in, kept cattle in, and that little old building was there. And well, and Dad used it as their office. And that Domino Hall was on the other side, and the men, president of the bank, and everybody came down there to play dominoes. Mr. Roy Caulfield and John White, Robert White's granddaddy, and this all the people there in town would come down there and enjoyed playing the games. And there's a kind of a funny story about our pen lots being there. There's a lady put in the paper that Bowie, Texas, only post office in the United States where you could go and get a cent back, SCENT.
So how long? So that was their main office, I guess.
Yeah, for a long time.
Did you worked there too?
Yeah, well, it wasn't an office, you just in and out.
Oh.
And they finally had an office out on 287 going out of Bowie. They had some pens out there. And it had been a auction, a cattle sale barn. They bought it out, done away with it. And we had a feedlot out there, and the Jackrabbit Inn was there, all out there. It's as you went in under the underpass, it's on the left there.
What's a memory that you have about each of your kids that's a real good memory?
Well, I guess the first thing would be that they're all born healthy, and enjoyed our trips with them. Enjoyed them in basketball and football and band, and the families they have, and appreciate their behavior.
What you talked about band? There were the cakewalks.
Oh yeah,
What were those like?
well, they get probably wild. My daddy, he liked to buy the big cake every time. And
So was it like an auction or?
yeah, they'd auction them off. And Barney May and I kind of took up the deal last time they had one of them. And but anyway, that was a big deal about the cakewalk. He got a big kick out of it. He liked to buy the cake, make the big cake. And he raised a lot of money for the band. And I guess next thing I went to coach it again in '81, coached for 19 more years, worked with kids for 19 more years. In all, I worked with the young people for 23 years. And worked at Bellevue and St. Joe and Montague. And
Do you have a favorite memory of being a coach?
oh yeah,
Stands out?
there's always favorite memories, and there's also disappointments. And I was fortunate here at Bowie to coach one of the outstanding teams and two of the most outstanding players they ever had. And one of them's in the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, and the other needs to be. I'm working on some paperwork now to hopefully get him in there too. And this one was a 4-year starter here and scored 2,400 points. Scored 996 points one season. And we had a good team. Should have won state. but we didn't.
What was their names?
James Thompson and Bobby McKinley. And I had some good memories, some boys that played outstanding, and girls too, at Bellevue and St. Joe, that bring back good memories. All a good bunch of kids.
So what would you say is one of, like, what are some things that you would want to, like, share with, you know, your kids or grandkids or great-grandkids or anyone in the family, like, just life lessons or, you know, advice?
Well, I guess to sum everything up for myself and my kids and the world would be 3 words: faith, hope, and love. And I guess that'd be it.
All the kids that submitted, they ask, what's the secret to your long marriage?
I think marriage is a give and take and compromise, and if you can't do that, you're not going to get along very long.
What are your thoughts about this whole filming process and getting all this history down on?
Well, I think it's good. I think it'd be nice for great and great grandkids way down the line to look at it, and you know, as far as I know, we started out pretty poor when my great granddad came out here and built up to having a prosperous life. And it'd be interesting that they could see that. And a lot of childhood memories that gone by, and I've enjoyed working with cattle and working with young people, and I'm enjoying life right now.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about that, selling art and everything that you're doing now.
Well, when we
Horses.
When we retired out of school teaching, well, of course, I love horses. I bought a few horses, and for the first 3 years, made a little money, and then it's maybe a hobby now. But we got in the art business, and it was the same way. You know, we did real good for 5 or 6 years there, and it slowed down, and the recession and all that. We still love Western art, and we have a lot of it, and we hope to sell most of it some of these days. If not, all y'all heirs can fight over it.
Do you want to take a break?
Yeah.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break.
How much you like?
Well,
see
this
what-
whole last question, and then I think we're done. Unless, do you think we covered? Is there any like things that we didn't think of?
No, it's, you know, I could go into detail but about cattle experiences, but that'd take all day.
Well, you might be doing that with us later.
Yeah.
Because we're really interested.
All right, they got it going.
Are we?
You ready? wants you to tell the story about roping the cow by the lake and it getting taken to Fort Worth, where she jumped out and went down.
Oh, this cow came out of Arizona. Stuart Granger owned her, movie star. And she jumped out here 2 different times. We caught her and put her back in. Last time we caught her, we put her in a covered trailer and took her to the stockyards there in Fort Worth, and we asked them who owns this cow when she leaves the trailer, and they said the stockyards. And later on we found out she jumped out down there and they didn't catch her. They caught her over around Lake Worth somewhere, finally.
But so she had to be she had to be shot.
Well, they killed her, I'm sure, when they got her in there that time.
So the next one is selling livestock to Johnny Crawford, one of the rifleman's sons, for his movie Indian Paint.
Well, he was here. I think we sold him. I ain't sure on that, but they filmed it, a lot of it right over here on Red River.
Filmed what?
Indian Paint. And they were around here for a while. And I won't confirm that.
I can
Fair
neither
enough.
confirm nor deny.
Fair enough, fair enough. And so apparently there was a story about Marvin turning left at the post office.
Well, he always turned there to go to the domino hall or the lots. And he kind of cut the corner every morning. And he got hit. And he told that officer, he said, everybody in Bowie knows I turn right here every morning. So but he got the ticket.
There's a
The guy he hit said, but I'm not from here.
Okay.
there's a story about bunker hunts or brinker hunts.
Bunker hunt.
What's
Well, we was, Vernon May and I went to 2 or 3 parties he had down there right the night before he was selling his Charolais cattle. And where they first got started with him, Weldon and Harry Deaver went up in Colorado, bought a bunch of Angus cows, bred the Charolais bulls that he owned up there on the ranch, and brought them back. Then we got to handling and dealing in Charolais cattle, and we was all the time going down to his sales, and we'd buy a bull or 2 every now and then. Not nothing big, but he throwed some nice parties, lots to eat.
Corner at the silver market.
Yeah, he tried to corner the silver market, got caught, but they got a lot of money.
Was there some story about some guy coming in from California to buy cows?
Well, he's from Florida, and he came in there, and it was during the hippie area, and he had on a long robe, long hair, and Bunker kept asking these people who he was, and didn't nobody know him. And so Bunker run him out. And directly somebody said, well, I thought sure old so-and-so would be here, and he described him, and there's this guy. And Bunker called around all over Dallas till he found him and apologized to him. And the next day, that old boy bought $100,000 worth of cattle. He kind of messed up.
what was going back to all the animals that they had up at Weldon's? I think Bobby said, did they have an alligator?
Yeah.
That got loose and
Yeah, it wasn't a very big one, but they supposedly got loose and went down that creek down there. I don't know. No telling.
what ended up happening to all those?
Well, they sold the 2 mountain lion cubs to Collier up at Wichita Falls, sons. He run the sale barn up there. And I don't know, they just sold him. He sold his mule to somebody that went to California and probably just shipped that little old bull. And somebody, when the ostrich business got big, well, he's probably sold him. But
There was a newspaper article that had Dad and Wanda in it with talking about all their animals.
Yeah.
Was she big into?
well, I don't know. She was out there having to take care of the biggest thing, I think, and then probably got attached to some of them. And,
What do you think are some lessons that your parents passed down to you that you feel that helped you have a successful life?
well, the one thing I know that they worked hard all their life, and I don't know if I have or not, but I've tried to, and to be honest and have integrity and be truthful.
So what are some things that you would maybe want, like hopes and dreams for your grandkids and great-grandkids?
Well, I think any parent would hope that they would be successful and do the right things and treat their family right and work hard.
I remember at your 50th wedding anniversary,
Yeah,
you gave a toast to Mimi.
yeah.
Do you remember what you said?
Oh yeah, it was what one of my friends had told his wife, and about I told you when I married you that I loved you and I always will, and if anything changes, I'll tell you. I don't know if I toasted her to that or not, but
You
that's the
did.
story.
That's what you
the-
did.
And so, I think that's it. If there's anything else that you're got on
Well, the only thing I can say is that about my great-great-grandfather Bill that Bobby wants me to tell about. He was over at Gainesville before the Civil War and had quite a few cattle and horses, and the history of Gainesville was that if you didn't want to join the Confederacy, they'd hang you. So my great-great-grandpa may have had to go to the Civil War on account of it, and his brother-in-law was a preacher, and he may have got out of it. But anyway, he went off preaching and left the cattle and the horses, and our story goes that Wagner's come by and picked them up. Between them and the Indians, got them all.
You were talking about at lunch today the family history and the connection to the Methodist leadership.
Yes, this brother-in-law, his last name was Hamill, and I don't know what it was. They started there in East Texas. I can't think of the words to say what it was. It was a group thing that they all got involved in and I read about it in a book, mentioned his name one time, and I can't remember. That's about all I know. And that's all I remember.
Okay, Bobby was talking about the French Huguenots coming?
Well, let's trace back. Well, we are the French Huguenots, and in there and ran France one time. That the church over there killed about 10,000 of the French Protestants, the French Huguenots, and is the reason we wound up coming over here. And not for sure if he came directly from France or he went to England and over here. But they first settled up in around Maryland, up in there, Virginia, then came south into North Carolina and South Carolina, and then on to Alabama. This was the Brashears. The Williams has come out of Williams, Mississippi, and the Bells, I think, come through Arkansas. And my great-grandmother Bell was a full-blood Indian, and we've tried to trace it back, and the closest we've got, it looked like we might have been Creek. My dad thought it was Cherokee, and one of his cousins thought it was Choctaw. But it looked like to me that we wound up Creeks. But our dates was messed up.
I don't think you mentioned earlier that there was, I think, a grandmother that was full-blood Indian. Was that?
Yeah, that's her I've taught great-grandmother.
Oh, okay.
And then my great-great-grandmother. One of them's buried at Denver and one of them's at Salona.
So if you think about, all of the Brashears over the course of time, like coming from France or England and coming over to Maryland and down to Alabama and over to Texas, and I know there's some that are in California that you have found out about. What do you think when you think about a Brashear, what do you think it means to be a Brashear?
Well, I'm proud that I am one, and I've had the opportunities I've had. And I don't know if it's because my name is Brashear, but there's been a lot of opportunities afforded me, and just happy to be here.
Well, and just, I guess, what kind of type of person that is.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they're,
Well, my granddad, Brashear Lewis, his family was a big family. He had 2 brothers. One of them wound up in Oklahoma and got killed he died of TB, and then the other one went to New Mexico, and he was changing flat on a truck, and the rim blew off and killed him. And then he had 4 sisters, of which all of them is buried out there with him. And I guess I could say that we've been survivors.
It's good. Thank you for doing this.
You're welcome. Glad to do it.
Love you, Papa.
Love you.
I learned a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really good when it's all done.
Good.